Hello, YouTube! I, for one, welcome our overlord, Meta, Twitter, and everything else in between. Welcome to CanFURence 2022!
I knew your suit, I just didn't know from where.
Well, I don't think we need any more introduction than this is CanFURence 2022 here.
I'd be happy to give a high level and then maybe any questions that come out. Does that sound okay with you, Claire?
Sounds perfect, yes.
So the organization was founded in 2016, sort of under the inspiration for a lot of people that are working with local rescue groups and noticing that like a lot of animals were being surrendered, not because people actually didn't want their companion animals anymore, but because they didn't have the means to actually keep them in the home. So that's sort of where the inspiration for the organization came out of. So in 2016, we started providing pet food, mostly to people in the Ottawa area who are kind of like folks who would be considered like locked into poverty. And those are the kind of organizations that service that population that we typically distribute through. We have partnerships with an organization called St. Luke's Table, which is kind of like a drop-in center where people can use the internet or do hygiene services and grab some food downtown, and a couple other organizations like that that kind of distribute for us. We also do sort of like emergency distribution where people come directly to us. They're in need of food or pet supplies, and we try to get them to them as quickly as possible within a reasonable turnaround time, given the fact that we're all volunteers. We do have some people who are actually in a grandfather program where we've been supporting them like month over month for a couple of years. That's a really nice program we have. It's a little unsustainable long term for us to just bring more and more and more people on that we're sort of indefinitely supporting. But we really like that one group of folks that we do have. Aside from that, it is mostly sort of like us distributing food that's not earmarked for any one specific person to these partner organizations, and folks can go and pick it up from them, or folks who contact us directly through that emergency support service. So we have a lot of different streams and sort of different ways that we're trying to get food directly to people in the community. I guess the internal philosophy is kind of that like it's good for people and it's good for pets, for people to stay together, right? Like shelters are overflowing, it's chaotic, like everyone sort of has tight budgets. It's always better to keep pets in the home than in a shelter where they're scared. And from a people perspective, like a lot of our clients are folks who are disabled, they're on ODSP, or they're seniors, and they don't have a lot of social contact outside the home. So for them, their pets are family, and they're one of their main means of sort of social contact and support. So from a human perspective, it's always beneficial to keep your pets with you if you love them so much and they're your family. So from our perspective, our organization kind of hits on like the animal welfare and the human welfare side of things to kind of just, you know, keep families together. I think that's the high level spiel. I didn't rehearse it, so it was a little bit of word vomit, but I think you guys get the gist.
That was perfect. That is wonderful. Did you have any questions?
Well, what do you take as donations?
Cash and pet food.
You take, okay. So when you get a cash donation, what does the money go to?
Primarily purchasing pet food.
Do you do anything other than pet food?
So we do litter as well as part of like the pet supplies piece. A small percentage of the funds have to go to like operating the charity, but we're really proud of the fact that the vast majority of our funds, way over the minimum threshold for a registered charity, go towards operating our program. So we're thankful because basically we're run by volunteers, and that's what allows us to do it. Other large expenses, like the biggest expense that is not food is our storage unit for food. And other than that, there's like ad hoc administrative costs and sometimes things like supplies like labels, tape, scissors, and that sort of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you do delivery of food to your clients?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Some folks go and pick them up from centers, but for people that are in areas that are not sort of close to centers, or if they have a disability that will not allow them to get there, or if it's just too much food for them to carry and they don't have a car, we have a system where we deliver directly to their door.
Okay, that's always good, yeah.
How big is your network of volunteers?
It's a very good question. It seems to be growing very rapidly right now, and I don't have my finger directly on the pulse because we were so lucky to get like an actual volunteer coordinator who's amazing and doesn't require a lot of oversight. But I think my guess at this point would be somewhere in the sort of like 18 to 25 range, and that kind of ranges from our delivery drivers who are kind of like the pulse of things, like there are little like ants actually out there doing the work. So they will go and they will pick up donations from stores, and they will also do the deliveries, sort of heading out directly to our clients or to our centers. And then we have sort of like our fundraising and that sort of team, and they go out and they do sort of events or try to make connections in the community and create awareness or create new partnerships. And then there's the client relations team, which is basically just me and one other person at this point. And we interface directly with our clients and sort of assess their needs and get the food to them. We have a volunteer coordinator who actually coordinates all of our drivers. We have a storage unit manager who goes and helps sort all the food and shelve it. And then we have our volunteer coordinator, who I mentioned before, who's sort of in charge of onboarding our volunteers and putting them into place. And then we also have our board, which is all volunteers as well. So I think that's it.
Oh, nice.
I think it's just worth mentioning, because I went to the storage unit yesterday.
Oh,
to
that's
pick up
right.
the stuff from Laura. Nothing is wasted either. So if we have food that goes past its expiry date, it goes to wildlife sanctuaries. And so yesterday when I was at the storage unit, I refilled a Kia SUV
Oh, you were helping her with that.
completely with
We should put you to work.
with expired food for raccoons. So yeah, when I say filled it, I mean it was full.
Yeah.
The front seat was full.
We also partner with like other rescues.
Nothing goes to waste.
Yeah, sometimes we'll get food that we actually don't have clients that we know we can send it to. Sometimes we'll get food specifically for like pocket pets and stuff as well. And we can't just sort of like send that out into the community and hope someone will pick it up. So we do partner with like other rescues as well to sort of like pass food on to them if we have food that we're not sure that we can use. And then like Clive said, if anything goes past the date that we can sort of reasonably use it, we make sure it goes to a wildlife center so that nothing's sort of going in the garbage, unless like the very rare occasion where I open like a donation box and it's like from 2015 or something, in which case that has to go in the garbage out of respect for the raccoons.
Very fair. I mean, I realize we raccoons will eat a lot, but there's within reason.
We all have limits, and we need to respect that.
So as Clive may have met our local raccoon here, there's not many limits with that one. And you'll, as I mentioned, you'll hear Zetz before you see him, and he will swing by at some point to say hi.
Oh,
But,
fun.
Yeah, he's quite a character.
That is certainly the case. So I realize there's obviously a difference between, fursuit and raccoon and the actual raccoon. But I'm still amused by the correlation.
Perhaps less of a difference than we would think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Did either of you have more questions?
How much does fundraising contribute to your annual overhead?
When you say fundraising, do you mean like fundraising events specifically, or more kind of like donate to us?
Any fundraising initiatives you take as opposed to just receiving donations or like gifts?
I would say our fundraising at this point is fairly small compared to basically just receiving donations or soliciting direct donations. Prior to the pandemic, fundraising probably was a much larger percentage of like what was coming in. But unfortunately, like as we all know, the pandemic has limited our ability to go out and do things. For example, one of our biggest sort of annual fundraisers was like Christmas photos with Santa, where people would bring their pets to take photos with Santa. And that would bring in, a few $1,000s a year, and we've obviously not been able to do that for the last few years. So right now, fundraising, I would say, is a very small percentage. But I know our fundraising team has some like fun stuff kind of in the pipeline. I think we're hoping to bring back photos with Santa this year. So hopefully fundraising will become like a larger portion of what's coming in, because it's fun to have events that people can actually go to and enjoy each other's company.
Do you ever get any pet stores that have broken bags of food that they donate because they can't sell it to the general public?
Yeah, we do. That's a lot of the food that comes in, actually. And we just ask them to kind of like tape it up before they
Okay.
send it, so it doesn't spill all over a unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually a very large percentage of the food that comes
Okay,
in. is
yeah,
damaged
that's good
bags.
to hear that, yeah. Because I'm sure whenever a stock person takes a knife to it, they cut the product, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly, you can tell that that's exactly what's happened with a lot of the bags that come in, because they have like a slash across them and then like a big thing of tape.
Yeah. Well, it's good you have that rapport with the pet shops that might have those kind of accidents. Good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have about 12 to 15 pet stores that we maybe regularly get some like donations from. They have just kind of like a bin out for us.
Uh-huh.
But in past years we've had sort of an annual food fundraiser called Bowl Full of Heart, where I think we've had like maybe upwards of about 30 partners in the community that participate like for that sort of set period of time. And those are normally pet stores and vet offices. And they collect food for us, either damaged or just donated, and
Oh, yeah.
kind of
Well,
aggregate it.
Do they actually have a donation bin with your name on it, or?
Yeah, some
Oh.
of them do, especially the ones that are more regular donors.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, we very much appreciate our sort of partners in the community.
Do you get funding from elsewhere, like grants? And I don't know if there are any grants out there that would even, be applicable.
We were very lucky to receive the Ottawa Community Foundation grant a couple years ago. I feel like I'm really being thrown on the spot with this, whether it was 10,000 or 15,000, I don't remember. I think it may have been 15. We were so excited to get that, and it really helped us float through the first part of the pandemic when we had to kind of shift from a lot of food donations to purchasing a lot of food. It gave us like a bit of a cash reserve to be able to do that, which was really exciting. That wasn't why they gave us the money, the timing just really lined up. And they were very understanding when we told them that we were going to use it for sort of like operational purposes instead of the original grant, which was for something simpler but slightly different. So yes, once.
I was just curious because I work for an organization that also has falls into an odd category of are there any out there? But
Yeah.
it was what led to that train of thought.
Well, to tie back into your question before about volunteers, that actually just sort of prompts my memory that we did just bring on, I think, a couple grant writing volunteers. So I think we have 2 new folks who I haven't been introduced to yet, but who are going to be working to sort of fill out grant applications in the hopes of maybe securing something. Yeah. Okay.
What are you guys looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of the attendees and to seeing everybody's amazing avatars or alters. I'm not sure exactly what the correct terminology is, so please forgive me if I use
Personas or fursuits?
persona. Okay.
Or fursuits, and the ones that are actually in suit are fursuiters. So.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
It's all good.
What about you,
Mostly.
Clive?
Yeah, same for me. I've been twice before and had a really good time both times. So it's just a really fun place to hang out, meet some amazing people. It's such a fun, positive way to spend a weekend.
Wonderful.
So very grateful to be here.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you for inviting us.
We were happy to come across you guys.
And
that
my
you were
kid just
happy
bought
to-
their first ever fursuit, so half an hour ago.
Right.
So I know what Charlie's going to be doing this weekend.
Well, we definitely hope that you get to enjoy, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to come up and say hi and introduce, and hopefully be generous as well.
Yay,
So-
generosity.
So, we have a good group. We have a great attendee base. And they're all really wonderful people. So.
Yeah, everyone's been really friendly so far, so we appreciate that.
I'm just happy that you guys are happy to join. There's always that, that initial, when we reach out to an organization and we go, so we're a furry convention. And, There's always the occasional group that comes back and goes, so we looked it up on various little platforms of media, and so I actually was very appreciative. I was telling Clive that earlier that the fact that you already were somewhat familiar with the fandom made everything that much easier for organizing everything with you, because there's always that slight apprehension of, okay, do they actually know the fandom, or do they know the stereotype that gets broadcast occasionally?
Did they see that episode of CSI?
Yeah. That episode, a decade later, still haunts this fandom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. I wasn't as familiar as Tribe, obviously, but I had like heard of the community before, and I think it's great. Like, I love people just being their authentic selves and self-expression and all of that. So we're
Yeah.
just, excited to be a part of it. And if other people aren't, then boo on them.
Yeah.
Hello. That's a very small room. What the heck? More people.
It's Friday. It's Friday. And, yeah.
I'm sorry if programming and scheduling did you wrong. No, it's all right.
We've had
always
an
know.
intimate fireside chat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Thankfully, no fire.
The fire is in our hearts.
I like fire, but not at conventions. Yes. And camping is nice.
This is Bianca.
Hi.
For part of the programming team, and so they will be floating around and saying hi and checking in on all of them.
Well, right now I'm on the break, so I just wanted to check out.
Bianca actually used to be head of the charity department before I was.
Oh, lovely.
And then they switched departments and, well.
And then switch departments again.
But yes, I've been the auctioneer for a while now. Yeah.
You're doing so good. You're fantastic.
Apparently,
We're lucky
being the
to have you.
auctioneer meant that they were going to hand me the actual department eventually.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in action.
I warn you, I'm not one of the ones who does the very quick auctioneering voice. I do not have that superpower, but I still try and make the show entertaining.
Well, I feel like that would almost require like a dedicated time of like vocal learning and exercises in order to maintain that. So.
The very first auctioneer we had years ago had that ability.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I unfortunately have never been able to quite pick that one up. But I try my best. So
Volunteer at more auctions.
just volunteer. Yes, I'll work on that. I do actually volunteer and staff at a lot of variety of events and conventions in various capacities, but this is the only one where I'm head of charity department, so it's a nice change, and I actually always look forward to this one because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm from Ottawa, so it's nice to have like the hometown convention going. So.
Do you guys find that like you have a lot of people come in from out of town for this? Like, is this kind of like something that draws like a lot of folks in?
You know what? We have quite a few people from all over Quebec and from the Toronto, like the GTA region as well. A lot of them coming from there. We have some from the States as well who have come up. So there is a decent spread of attendees from all around. I think we do have at least one person here from the, I want to say the prairies. Toots is from.
Yeah, I think Texas. Well, if home con was Furry, I guess it would be Alberta.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Alberta. I know of at least one who's here from Alberta. But we're still a relatively smaller convention comparatively to some others in Canada. So we don't necessarily draw the international draw if they're further than like New York.
Right.
But the fact that it is a smaller convention in comparison to some other conventions in Canada, it has that nice smaller feel to it. It has more of a community. When you get to conventions that are much larger, you're not as likely to see the same person as you go to the panels after panels, so you don't necessarily meet as many people and keep those friendships. You may have crossed paths with somebody once or twice and discovered that, you know, okay, you do have similar interests. But otherwise, you don't end up, you go with your group to those larger ones. You don't necessarily make as many connections and friends at the larger ones as you do at the small ones. That's not to say it doesn't happen.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Like, there's definitely, you still end up making quite a few friends no matter what, albeit well. But the larger conventions do bring in people from further away. So it has different aspects to it that and benefits to larger conventions and smaller conventions. They each have their own things that they're unique for and you know, yeah, I'm searching for my words here, which is
Different
great for an
vibe.
auctioneer, but it's a different vibe, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good sign when your auctioneer can't figure out her words today. It's a good thing we
You're
auction
saving
Sunday.
it. You're saving the clarity.
Yeah, yeah, keep it for Sunday.
It's fine, it's fine. What
That's
do
what
I
we
need
need,
words
yeah.
for?
Well, I mean, as long as people can guess, it's like, wait, was that a 10? What? I mean, the other hand is, if they're not sure if you say 10 or 15,
Oh, there you go,
that's
yeah.
20, I mean, you just fudge the numbers a little.
Fine, you said 15,
People
right?
might just roll
a
it.
20? Oh, I heard 20.
Oh, yay. Any final words of wisdom to live by?
I'll let you answer that one first.
I think if you for something like this, is be your authentic self, which is what you just said.
Yeah,
That's
be
what
your
this is all
authentic
about,
self.
and that's why that's what my kid has got out of it. I love it.
I don't know how to
You're
do
like,
that.
how do you top that?
Yeah, I mean, I could like spice it up a little, like.
It's always fun to
Like
hear.
your freak flag fly. I don't know. It's just exactly be your authentic self. I think we're all doing it in our own ways, and it's lovely to see people, you know, finding community around
All
things.
right.
That's kind of what charity and, you know, conventions and what are all about, just finding your community and being yourself.
Yay.
Good words of wisdom. I like that. Well, we've hit the half-hour mark. I think if you would like to wander back to your table or wander through the convention, you're more than welcome to. You may want to grab food. I don't know if you've actually stopped for lunch yet, so now that it's 2:30, there's